Do do do. Bruh. Uh. You ever plays top 2K? Bruh. 10 hours is so long, bro. I want high school Gohan. I'm gonna do this first, and then I'm gonna go into World Tournament. Top 4,500, bruh. Dan, come do this with me, brother. I need help. Do you have a World Tournament team I can copy? you send it to me? Send me your World Tournament team, please, Daddy. This is a attempt, by the way. Attempt. Thank you. Damn. Coming to me. Wonder if she wins? Oh my god. How far do you think I can get with 10 hours? Maybe I'll pull like YouTube up and watch it, bro. TBH. Hey, 9 runs an hour. Oh. I wish you did not tell me that. What do you think of Will Burley? Watch YouTube also. Are you sending me your team, bro? They haven't sent it yet. What's on Discord? I don't see it. Did you put in the chat? How long is this shit, bro? Jesus Christ. It's in general chat. Thank you. It's a interesting team. Well, why is Tag Ginyu on that team? What's the point of tech, Captain Ginyu? What's the point of a higher team cost? You buy LRs, which give you... Fuck, dude, I don't use Jocko, bro. I don't feel like iteming. Alright, chat, let's hop in, I guess. Oh, new day. I'll just copy your team. I mean, you don't have to use a team, that's a preference. It's just like with Jocko and Chaozu, you don't have to like, let me make a team first before I start bitching. World tournaments. Can you stop autocorrecting? Do I even have Captain Ginyu, bro? I do. That's how with Jacob and Chaozu, but you had to do more runs to lower team costs, which means, oh, it's true. I don't need this guy Izay, do I? I don't have his Izay done. Where's a Piccolo at, bro? I have him, I know that. Bro, is that Piccolo super type? He is, I didn't know that. I like 5k Ghost Rusher, so I do the Mad routes. How many do I have? Ghost Rushers. I have 340. Whatever, I can always buy more. And then the Tree of Might. And then War. And then Yama. Okay, here we go, the first run. Fuck me in the asshole. Oh, you can't auto it, bro? Oh my god. No more game audio? I know, I'm gonna watch YouTube, but I don't want to put game audio on. You think I should have game audio? I just don't want it to be too loud. Okay. Well, the run starts, chat.
to when video games were just simple? When games could just be games and you could be an idiot 6-year-old who can't figure out how to get off the starting island in Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, you actually, you gotta hit the tree to get the coconuts. The coconuts will fall down. Hit it? Yeah. It feels like back then they could just make anything they wanted to. Studios took chances, building experiences that, while not perfect, were still iconic. And don't get it twisted, all right? I like the AAA games we're getting right now. I'm definitely not saying that video games aren't fun anymore, but I can't help looking back at all these older games
What do they fucking bait?
missing the charm that they all had, especially compared to now. They definitely weren't all fantastic, but when I look back at them, they all just seem so whimsical and wonderfully simple to me. And sure, you know, that opinion is probably largely shaped around nostalgia, and it's more likely I miss the simpler times in my life, which we'll talk about nostalgia more towards the end of the video, but I do mean this literally. I adore the simplicity of the games from this era. When I talk about a time when video games were simple, I think a different time period probably comes to each of our heads, right? For you, it might be the PS1 or even the Atari if you're ancient and decaying. For me, I think of the PS2 and just all those classic games from that console. Like Kingdom Hearts, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, the weird game with the alien face on the cover that kind of freaked me out too much to pick up. The hundreds of stupid licensed games that came out around this time that were all just exactly the same, except that one. I loved that one. When every game didn't have to be a groundbreaking cinematic masterpiece and it could just be a fun game. One aspect I really admire about those PS2 games is that they seem to prioritize gameplay and fun over anything. Whereas anymore, it seems gameplay gets sidelined by the cutscenes and the story. The gaming industry has changed a lot over the years, okay? It's not your grandpa's GameCube anymore. We got esports teams and VR chat twerk-offs now. The Last of Us is a phenomenal game series that tells a familiar yet strikingly unique story and has some of the best character writing I've ever seen in a video game. Due to some not so careful redactions, we learned that on their latest entry, The Last of Us Part 2, Naughty Dog spent $220 million over the course of 6 years to develop the game. To put that into perspective, they developed the first Crash Bandicoot game for $1.7 million. With that $220 million, they delivered on these stunning, cutting-edge graphics, as well as creating a gripping narrative and overall impactful experience. But when you play these games, it becomes abundantly clear that The Last of Us does not embrace its identity as a video game at all. The gameplay loop consists of you walking around slowly, looking at everything like you're in a museum, maybe avoiding some mushroom zombies sometimes. And if you walk into an area with waist-height walls, you know some guys are gonna come out and try to shoot at you. The combat is passable at best, and over time just becomes a boring obstacle between you and the next cutscene. It really is a shame, you know, because the world they've built is so beautiful to look at, but there's nothing to touch. I'm all for story in a game, but it should never take precedent over the actual gameplay. And hey, I'm a problem solver, all right? I'm here to help you, Naughty Dog. I'm gonna tell you exactly what you have to do to fix this problem. You go through a couple of levels, you get us really hooked in, and then you give Ellie a fishtail and you have her swim around and sing a really bad song with Ariel from The Little Mermaid. And the song's gotta be really, really bad. Really, it's gotta be horrible. No, you're right, you can't do that, okay? It's a serious game with a serious tone. We don't need to do any of that. You know, no game has ever retained its serious tone while breaking immersion slightly for the sake of fun. It's never been done. It's not gonna happen, all right? Bad example. I'm sorry. Let's look at the Insomniac Spider-Man games instead. You know, they're wacky and less based in realism. They had a phenomenal story, except for the third act of the second game. I'm still pretty mad about that. Peter should have been Venom. I'm standing on that business. And the gameplay here, oh my God, they got it perfect. They did it. They did what Naughty Dog couldn't do. Sometimes. I could web sling around the city all day, and they had their Little Mermaid moment with Venom and I guess Mary Jane now. That was all right. But what I want to talk to you about
so much fun. What's wrong with you?
Are the mini games. You know, those little moments where it's like, oh, Peter's a scientist. Here's some scientist stuff. Match up these different colors and lines because he's a scientist. It's science stuff. Those have got to be the worst mini games ever made, and Insomniac knows it, because why else would they give you an option?
No, oh my God.
It's all right, whatever. They didn't come up that much in the first one. I can get over it. At least I got to skip them and move on. Maybe they'll take them out by the second one. Wrong. It's different this time. Now it's in 3D and you got to take out the bad shapes. It's worse. It's somehow so much worse in this one. And I know it's a relatively small problem to point out, but man, just situations like this just make me miss games like
are you streaming this?
That would put you in a submarine and say,
I would just do a stream, bro.
Coming to steal the treasure, you have to shoot all the crabs and make sure they don't come get it. They didn't bother trying to make it make sense within the story. They just made something fun. I don't think every AAA game needs to be goofy, but I do think that video games are at their best when they embrace their identity as video games and deliver experiences only they can. It seems like they really went in this direction because these cinematic games have the most wide reach. They don't really want to risk it with something that might not appeal to everyone, right? We could never get an insane concept like Kingdom Hearts made today. The idea of taking these two insanely different franchises, Final Fantasy, a JRPG series, and the Disney multiverse, and mashing them together in some big world-hopping adventure led by a character nobody's ever heard of.
I only have like 4 hours left.
Not something we would get today. And do you know how this idea came to be? Well, apparently back in the 90s, Square Enix and Disney both had offices in the same building. And one fateful day, an employee from Square Enix and an employee from Disney just so happened to end up in the same elevator. And they got to talking and they were like, "Hello, Disney employee I just met. Wouldn't it be cool to mash up our universes together and then send some kid around them beating everything up with a key?" And that, kids, is how Kingdom Hearts came to be. I read it on nextshark.com, so you know it's true. If there ever was a video game that embraced its identity as a video game, it is goddamn Kingdom Hearts. This game makes no sense, but is so much fun. Why the hell is Cloud from Final Fantasy making a deal with Hades and fighting in the hero games on Olympus? I don't know, who cares? I'm Sora and I'm gonna hit this big dog with a key I found. When you travel between the different Disney worlds in Kingdom Hearts, sometimes the art style, the character designs, and even entire gameplay mechanics will change based on where you go. I keep referencing the Little Mermaid level in Kingdom Hearts because genuinely when I played this, it was so mind-blowing to me. I love that even at a point so deep into this game, they were still willing to change the fundamental mechanics of how
My first
you play
day is Sunday.
to keep things fresh. And don't even get me started on the goddamn Gumi ship. I don't know if it's Gumi or Gummy. I've been saying Gumi. When I first played it, it was kind of annoying at first. I was thinking, why am I doing this? But now anymore, I'm traveling between the worlds and I'm up in the Gumi ship. I'm just shooting stuff.
Gumi.
Why the hell do they need a spaceship to get between the Disney worlds? I don't know why they thought they needed a spaceship, but it was awesome.
Gumi ship.
And it was the Gumi ship, and shut the fuck up. I'm not entirely sure if this is the case, but it really seems to me like when games were cheaper to make, studios were willing to make pretty much anything and just throw it out there. And listen, I was eating it up. I loved sitting down crisscross applesauce on the floor of a GameStop, just going through the wall of so many different PS2 games, picking out insane shit like Marvel Nemesis, Rise of the Imperfects.
I love that
I feel
game.
like I dreamed this. Sure, they were goofy and didn't exactly maximize profit, but does that mean they weren't worth making? I guess where AAA's concerned, it's just always going to be about the money. And if you want a passionate game developer, you look to the indie games. There's got to be some video essay YouTuber to indie game pipeline because I was never really that into indie games.
I love the
Recently,
PS2,
I played
bro.
Hades and Rollerdrome, and it was some of the most fun I've had playing
Dude,
games
I
in a
had
long
the-
time.
I had
It
the
seems
fat
games that
fucker, bro. That
prioritize
shit was
fun
fucking
overall are only
massive,
coming
bro.
from indie developers
I had that
anymore.
fat fucking
There is a
PS2.
genre of game that was lost to time completely, and that, my
Which one did
friends,
you have, Dan?
is the shitty licensed games. This has got to be the greatest loss.
I
in
love
my
the Family Guy
lifetime.
game.
Those shitty early 2000s movie tie-in licensed games that came with every mildly successful property. If there was a
Get rid of
cartoon you
Eddie
liked in the
Dill's
early
Steve.
2000s, tie-in game.
I don't
if there
think
was
so.
a movie you kind of enjoyed, tie-in game. Look up any franchise
Black
that
Ops
had
2
moderate
had
success
DLC,
in this time
and that shit was a
period
banger.
and add the game at the end, and you're probably gonna get something. It would be impossible to count how many there were, and they were all bad, but I loved them anyway. Like the Cat in the Hat movie tie-in game, what a beautiful nightmare that was. Give me a bottle of
Black Ops 2 is a
Dayquil and
banger,
the
bro.
Cat in the Hat PS2 game, and I'm having a great week. If you've ever played one of these games before, you've probably seen this little intro screen. THQ.
I think you're a boomer.
THQ was responsible for not all, but a lot of these tie-in games. It seemed their business model was to buy up the license for a mildly successful property, pump out a cheap, easy game, and launch it right when that movie or TV show was peaking in popularity so that they could feed off of that hype. And clearly it worked, because in the span of a couple of years, they released literal hundreds of games. They hit the cartoons hard. They got Jimmy Neutron, Scooby-Doo, so much SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Tack and the Mother-Fudging Power of Juju, this one was a banger, Rugrats, Teen Titans, Barnyard, Danny Phantom, Avatar The Last Airbender. Seriously, so much SpongeBob. And they hit the movies too. Cars, The Incredibles, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up. They had Star Wars under their belt, and Episode 3 was a slapper. These guys dominated the licensed tie-in games, and eventually
This guy's a monster, bro.
they just stopped. I was looking around the internet trying to figure out why they stopped. You know, where did these go? And everything I found kind of suggested that they didn't stop making them, but they moved over to the more profitable sector of the video game market, the mobile games.
Hey, just was wondering, is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?
Mobile games. Fuck mobile games.
No.
And you know what? They were probably right to do so. Even I ended up spending money in Family Guy: The Quest for Stuff. I wanted to build my Quahog to look cool.
Holy fuck.
There were a lot of these games, and most of them were bad. But for every 100 shitty cookie-cutter games, there was one gem. Odds are, if you had a PS2, you probably played The Simpsons Hit and Run, which, by all means, should have just been another shitty tie-in in the series of shitty tie-ins. But this one just so happened to be amazing. It was a GTA clone that was like better than GTA. In fact, it did the multiple characters, the character switching, before GTA 5 did it. That means The Simpsons predicted
You still own it?
GTA 5.
I'm gonna play
It is
it.
time to write another Kotaku article.
Maybe I'll
Some of my
get an
personal
emulator.
favorites were The Matrix: Path of Neo. I don't know why I liked this. I'd never seen The Matrix. I just really was drawn to this game because it made me feel like insane. I don't know how to describe it. I loved the Star Wars Episode 3 tie-in game because it had this cool alternate ending, and I was obsessed with this fight on Mustafar between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and so being able to do that and get a different result just like blew my little mind. And obviously, Spider-Man 2. I think a lot of people forget this was a movie tie-in game. And even this one had great mini-games. The most iconic mini-game where you go around delivering pizzas with that insane music playing. Why couldn't
This is
we
like
get
a
that
top
in
5 game for
Insomniac
me ever.
Spider-Man instead of Match the Shapes and Colors? A licensed tie-in game that a lot of people liked was SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Also
And
this
I know a
game.
lot of people like this one because it got a big fat ring. We've established that the game studios are in this for the money, right? And it's safe to assume that they want the safest bets for their money, the most revenue with the least risk. No brainer. Why don't they just take things people already like and do it again?
They do.
But like make it pretty. Personally, I think this aversion to risk is absolutely doing damage to the industry, but what do I know? I'm just a guy, and clearly the numbers say otherwise. But I think in all of this, the consumer is not blameless. It is me. I'm the consumer. They're only gonna do something if they know we're gonna buy it, and oh man, am I gonna buy it. I've been loving the remakes lately, I'm not gonna lie. I don't really think we needed 5 iterations of the 2 Last of Us games, but for example, like Resident Evil 4 remake or the Dead Space remake, or some of my favorite games in 2023. They may have been remakes, yes, rehashing old ideas, but I felt like in those 2 examples specifically, they expanded the gameplay systems and made changes that honestly justified a remake. In Dead Space alone, the zero gravity overhaul was game-changing, as well as a voice protagonist where there wasn't one before. So they're not just throwing stuff out, you know, they actually do seem to care about some of these games. The
Sometimes.
Resident Evil 4 remake was a breath of fresh air for me because I got the quality of
3
life
Loco?
from a AAA game,
What's
but the
so cool?
goofy, campy fun from a PS2 game. The graphics were stunning and the gameplay was tight and well
Like,
optimized.
how do they
Also,
visual local?
got to go up to the shady weapons dealer.
Is it just
and
like
buy a
queuing like
rocket
10
launcher
people, or
to
like
just
how does the
shoot
local
final
work, you
boss
know?
with. I just cheesed the entire fight, and the game let me because it was more fun that way. The simplicity that I had been missing was right there, and
This
I loved
fucking
every
Pickle's a
second.
monster,
To me,
bro.
this trend of remakes is
Random, honestly, you can set up with random
I'm
group.
not
Oh,
alone in missing a time when video games
a group
were
of what, like
and it's also
20?
proof
Or
that
what?
nostalgia can and will be weaponized at any moment possible, and memories are only good if they are
Hopefully I
fun.
don't have, like, the
I am
truth
happy
and
that younger
Crash and
generations
fucking
just more
Minato, bro.
people
I would
in general
cry.
get to experience these games that I loved as a kid and see why for themselves. And also I'm happy that we
I will
get to
cry,
experience
bro.
these games in ultra-realistic graphics, 4K huevos shrinking technology. Only playable with the Gigafart 8500 graphics card. You may need to upgrade your PC to play this game. I can appreciate good graphics. I mean, I really like when a game looks pretty, but I think this looks better than this. And this looks better than this. Technically, this has higher resolution and better lighting, but this has a better art direction.
The Ultimate Spider-Man looks so
High-resolution
good.
textures and pretty lighting are
Honestly, it was
always
true, so
going to be
I'm just-
outshined by
you're not that guy, pal.
inspired art direction, creativity, and a focus on atmosphere. This isn't
I love
something that's
BioShock.
gone from modern gaming. In fact, a lot of recent games have left my
BioShock
jaw
is such a
on the floor
banger.
because they're so beautiful. Bloodborne, and Bloodborne. Holy shit, Bloodborne. But I think it was more common to focus on art direction back then because they were limited. They couldn't make a realistic looking game. They had to do something unique. Even the games shooting for a realistic approach.
Yeah, I'm gonna do
could
10
not
hours.
pull
I'm
off
not gonna touch it
realism.
ever
I mean, that
again.
is not realism, but still
10 hours should
it's
be enough,
iconic.
right, Dan?
A phrase I really like and I've used before in one of these videos is that limitation breeds creativity. Trying to make a game back on the PS2, I imagine, was extremely limiting, but it made them so creative, making these incredibly unique looking games. I often find that when creating something and you run into a problem, that solution that you come up with to the problem leads to an infinitely more interesting and unique final product. Like I said, we still get a lot of stunning games coming out lately, but I feel like now with the ability to actually create games that, while not perfectly realistic, look pretty damn real, that becomes the only focus, is making a game that looks realistic, not one that is creative.
Are you
in its
grinding
vision.
for just
In a lot of
missions?
ways, I miss those
I'm
older
just
games that we
doing
used to get.
10
But
hours, man.
I'm also glad for all the games that we get now. Like Ghost of Tsushima is one of my favorite games of all time, and Baldur's Gate 3, which I made an entire video.
I'm not really
on,
trying to
you
do
should go
anything,
watch
just
it,
grinding.
Was a phenomenal experience. Compare that to the PS2 Baldur's Gate
I would like
Dark
to get
Alliance
like
2,
LR and
and it's
Piccolo.
no contest there. The only reason I might want to pick up and play
and
Dark
I like to
Alliance 2
awaken
is because I miss playing
I have
it with my
the
dad
Armstrong
when I was a
Poir,
kid. I used to live in this big
but
green
back
house right on the
then,
corner lot,
like,
and had a
you didn't,
baseball
like,
field right across
you
the
put
street. I
shit
think the house used to
into
be a church. It was
Super
definitely
Attack, so I have the
haunted.
Armstrong
I was 8
Poir
years
at
old
level
when the
55.
house caught fire.
55%,
I
that's
remember I
it.
was watching SpongeBob.
They're-
and I
they're not even
walked
awakened yet.
into the kitchen and I saw these crazy flames up all over the place. Long story short, the house got completely ruined and my dad got hurt pretty bad. But he recovered fine. They just took some skin from his butt and put it on his hand. I call it his butt hand. This house, though, was mostly ruined, and the property had a separate garage, like a barn kind of thing, and that garage had an attic. Well, my dad decided that we were gonna fix up the house ourselves and live up in that attic. Him and I shared this airbed up there, and right next to it was a projector that I had hooked up my PlayStation 2 and my original Xbox to. During the day, I'd obviously go to school, and then when I got home, I'd help him build
That's
however
cool.
I could. You know, there wasn't much I could do. I was 8, but I
Top
remember
5,
doing
top
things like
10?
helping him put up the ceiling or chip away at the
Are the
old
rewards
stone
good for top
slate
5?
in the fireplace. And when we were done for the day, I would go up and play on that PS2 nonstop. Not to get into too much detail, I'm just some guy on the internet. You don't know me, but I was having a hard time. Something about swinging around
Yeah,
the
easy,
city in
okay.
Spider-Man 2 just made it all melt away. You know,
Also, I don't
I
know what Broly
wasn't-
can kill.
Zach, with all this stress and all these problems I didn't understand.
It's pretty
I
old.
was Spider-Man. I can only imagine how my dad felt at the time, but he always seemed happy when him and I were playing a video game together. He was just watching me play.
Remember back in the day, me and my
We had a ton
dad,
of fun, and we would just
me and my dad
laugh
used to play
and hang
Madden
out
all the
together
time,
playing
dude.
Halo
We
2
played so many
on
games
the
together. I
Xbox,
kind of
just
missed
going
it.
through the campaign, and it was in moments like
We used to
that
play,
where
like,
it
we
really
played
felt like
Spider-Man, we
everything
played,
melted away. It didn't feel like
Madden
we
a
had just
lot, bro.
lost everything. You know, it felt like we
We
had
played a lot of shit. I
everything
kind of miss it, to be honest.
that we could ever need. And it's funny now, sometimes just hearing that PS2 sound, I'm back up in the attic with my dad. Nostalgia is a funny thing that can make you look back fondly on things that might not have been so great, but were somehow perfect in their own way. And
Recurler
escapism through
statues
simple
and
pleasures
Ultraman
like
Z
video
medals.
games will
Oof.
always be important. I think we all have that game, or just media in general, that was able to give us a break from a hard time in our lives and made us hold on to that experience forever. And so now we judge that media by what it did for us rather than what it actually is. I'd love to hear if there was anything like that that stuck with you, you know, either in a comment or send it to my email at this point. I don't care. I can't promise I'll get back
was a good video. Oh, Tiger Uppercut Media's back, bro. Watch a 1 hour loop video? Hell no. I don't want to watch, bro. Watch this.
Ultimate Spider-Man was released 18 years ago. Feel old yet? The early 2000s were a great time to be a Spider-Man fan. We received 2 excellent games from Neversoft, a solid movie tie-in game for the newly released Sam Raimi directed Spider-Man movie, and its sequel, Spider-Man 2, solidified itself as the best movie and game in the character's history for years to come. The next Spider-Man game would have a lot to live up to, and in the case of Activision's next Spider-Man title, they would already be at a disadvantage. Their new title was not tied to any mainstream film under the same name, and rather a, arguably more niche, comic book run. As we approach the release of Marvel's Spider-Man 2, there's an ever-increasing chance that we will see the greatest portrayal of Venom in a video game. So to refresh our memory, let's look back at what I believe to be the best video game portrayal of Venom in one of the better Spider-Man games, and of course, spoilers ahead. Spider-Man 2 broke the mold in many ways for the wall crawler, and Ultimate Spider-Man aims to refine the fundamental advancements made in that game, while also moving in a new direction. The result is a game that succeeds in many areas, fails in some, and most importantly, has such a sense of identity that it has become timeless. After 18 years, Ultimate Spider-Man is still one of the greatest Spider-Man games out there, with its largest flaw being just how little of it there is. This is a Spider-Man game that is mechanically dense, but prioritizes quality over quantity to a detrimental degree, which these days seems backwards to many. Personally, I would prefer a game to be short and sweet than long and boring, but this discussion means nothing because we can't buy the game. Due to Activision losing the license to their Spider-Man games, they can no longer be sold, which means getting your hands on this game is impossible. Of course, pirates are still able to access the game with ease, but I won't condone any of that, because it is morally incorrect to pirate, guys. Just think about how harshly you're affecting the bigwigs at Activision. I mean, they're likely wiping their tears with $100 bills as we speak. I know, it's their fault because they won't let us buy the game legally, but they have a lot on their plate. They have to push out an update for Warzone once every 3 months that actively makes the game worse, and they have to abuse, assault, underpay, and overwork their employees on top of that. Cut them a break! Anyways, it might be tough to buy this game, but you guys are smart, you'll figure it out. Ultimate Spider-Man takes place within the Ultimate Comic universe, and while at first being a canon story likely taking place between issues 71 and 72, the plot of this game was later reworked and adapted to issues 123 to 128. So this game is in a strange limbo between canon and non-canon. Regardless, while having the backstory of the comic series will further contextualize the plot here, it is not needed to understand the simple story. Keeping with its comic book roots, this game boasts a unique visual style that looks like a playable comic, all the way from its cel-shaded art style to its cutscenes, which feature comic panels, onomatopoeias, and other visual styles that are otherwise associated with comics. This allows the game to have an identifiable visual flair that ages at a snail's pace. Something important to note about Ultimate Spider-Man is that it is building off of the precedent set in Spider-Man 2. It has enough to separate itself, but this game does not get the same slack that Spider-Man 2 got, because it is not the first to attempt an open world with physics-based swinging and organic city events. Now, in a poorly made Spider-Man game, this would be a problem, but this is no ordinary Spider-Man game, and that is visible through every single frame. The visual style of Ultimate Spider-Man is timeless. The team behind the game went to great lengths to present a playable comic book. What's further unique is that the characters here, whose designs are damn near iconic, are not bound to the frames and panels. Venom will jump from one page to the next, the camera will transition from scene to scene like eyes darting from one panel to another, and the freeze frames further sell the idea. The animations are also beautifully executed, looking impressive for a game this old, including what's seen in gameplay.
Is it a
New
gacha
York
game?
This time around includes a bit of Queens too, and much like Spider-Man 2, comes alive at night. The city during the day fulfills a surface-level Spider-Man fantasy and isn't lacking by much. The draw distance isn't the best, and truthfully, some buildings can look rather samey, but with enough notable landmarks like the construction site, the Baxter building, the school, and the Trask building, it's easy to have an idea of where you are at any given point. It's at nighttime that the city becomes so much more immersive. Neon covers the skyline surrounding Times Square. Nightclubs are full of people and lights, and the luminance from the many apartments and offices makes New York truly a city that never sleeps. There's detail to be found through every sign, graffiti art, and billboard. Is it beating the modern releases of today? No.
It's all about Netmarble. What does Netmarble do?
Absolutely. Character designs feel
Did
true
they
to
make
their
anything
comic
good?
counterparts, and they specifically nailed the look of both Spider-Man and
That's
Venom.
pretty god if they
Spider-Man
like
has the
Genshin
tone
fucking
muscle
people, bro.
definitions we come to expect from a superhero, but we can also see the way his tight spandex wraps around his ribs, reminding us that he is still very much a scrawny teenager too. Venom, on the other hand, is far darker, though not literally. The Venom symbiote is purple and black, akin to
Yeah, I
how
don't
it
know what
appeared
any
in
of
the
these games
comics.
are.
In the Ultimate run, the costume was black with purple highlights, but here it's closer to purple with black highlights, leading to much discourse surrounding how it looks. And it lends itself more to being a goopy parasite that is better accomplished by adding purple than the Venom movies did, by adding these weird jizz lines under the suit. Either way, this more alien-like color adds to the way
there's no
Venom is
PvP,
presented
right?
in this game. Less as an independent individual like we've seen in
I'm
the
definitely
Venom
gonna fucking
movies,
play
and
it
more
though,
as a
bro.
parasitic demon. He has the ability to completely overtake his host like
Thank
a
you,
werewolf in
Dan.
the
I
night,
didn't know that
nearly corrupting
existed.
Peter and ravaging the mind of Eddie in just a moment's time. His stature is large, teeth sharp, and his jagged eyes give this iteration of the character everything he needs to be distinct and in some shots, terrifying. When he isn't T-posing in the
know there is
background.
PvP
I
in
have
it,
to
though,
mention
or
that some of
no?
the visual errors here are not due to a shoddy PC
There's
port,
PvP,
but
I'm
are
just
due to
turned
the
off.
particular vendor
That's
that
like
I
instant
purchased the
turn
game
off.
from, packaging the game with a pre-installed widescreen mod that, while in gameplay works well with minimal sacrifices, does make certain cutscenes look.
Easy question. Yeah, I hope there's no PvP.
Fortunately,
bro.
it doesn't stop this
I
interpretation
hate
of Venom from
PvP.
being one of the most beast-like we've seen in the series to date. One could argue that Web of Shadows had a meaner Venom, but that interpretation borders on Lovecraftian horror. Where the two games parallel, at least, is in stature. Eddie in Ultimate absolutely towers over Peter, and in fact, most characters do. Ultimate Peter is a scrawny 15-year-old and certainly looks apart. Villains like Rhino look like they take shits bigger than Peter, and characters like the Goblin and Venom pressure through both stature and abilities, which I'll get into later. For now, since we've already brought up Web of Shadows and Spider-Man 2, you're probably thinking about the voice acting, which at least for Peter in both games were interesting. Everyone remembers the voice of Peter in Web of Shadows being like nails on a chalkboard. Where's Cage at his search party? But it should also be noted that Tobey Maguire wasn't the greatest voice actor either, gracing us with some of the most limp dick delivery I've ever heard in a video game.
This is the part where you fall down.
Regardless, I feel that Peter in this game is portrayed near perfectly, as Sean
I
Marquette
hope
delivers
there's
a
no
voice that
PvP, bro.
encapsulates a teenager that
It'll
just
ruin
wants to
it.
be taken seriously. Something I've always appreciated about the Ultimate Spider-Man run is that Peter has a temper. Peter Parker is always trying to live up to the lofty moral ambitions of Spider-Man, and sometimes he fails.
Need to call.
I need to quit getting almost killed by stupid people is what I need.
He is a 15-year-old after all, and his dialogue is written accordingly.
Don't make me hurt you, Eddie. I'm totally serious.
Other characters provide great performances, with
Summon.
Eddie being another standout. He really sounds like someone in a constant fever dream, being taken again
Yeah, I'm
and
definitely
again by
check it
the
out. Thank you,
symbiote,
Dan.
fighting for control but not wanting to give it up. Eddie is the feeble host, while Venom is the bellowing devil over
Give
his
me, like,
shoulder. By the
Shen
end of the
would
game,
be
when
nice.
chasing Trask, a kill both Eddie and the suit want, their demonic scream that sounds like Eddie in the suit
Now, is there
in
any
sync
World Tournaments?
will
These
send
are like
chills down
actually
your
good,
spine.
Dan. Do you know?
I can praise the voices here all day, but if we're talking about quality, then I must introduce you to arguably
Wait,
the
this
best
is the guy I
soundtrack in
have?
any Spider-Man game. Full of high-octane bangers and relaxed beats for swinging
I
through
don't
the
think I have
city.
this Kid
It
Goku,
perfectly
do
fits the
I?
bombastic nature of the game, and it's in my personal top 10
Yeah, I
soundtracks
do. I
of
have
all
2
time.
copies.
My only gripe regarding the look of the game is the camera, because you will be fighting this thing throughout the playthrough. Yes, I felt
so
like I
go
was
Han
winning
Solo
that
and
fight,
take
but it
Mr.
shouldn't be
Boo.
a fight in the first place. I haven't mentioned
I don't
cameras
think I have
much when
Tech-
talking about
is
the other
Tech-
Spider-Man
is Tech
games, and I've
Boo,
gotten some comments about why I
super
haven't, and the reason
extreme?
is that in nearly every game I played from the 6th generation and prior, they struggled with
extreme,
cameras,
right?
and because these games are so old, I'd cut it some slack. I also don't know a ton about game design, but what I do know is that cameras are deceptively
I would-
hard
I
to
would
get
like
right,
Tech
especially in
Boo
tight
Boo
spaces, so I don't want to harp on it too much.
for,
It's easy to see how this game's presentation
the-
succeeds in filling
the
Spider-Man
missions
2
with the
shoes while
Gohan
establishing
mission?
its own identity, and I can do
For
nothing
artificial
less
life
than
form?
applaud a drastic shift in direction after the smash success of the previous
what I
game.
need.
These days, a game like Ultimate Spider-Man
I would look it up, bro. Oh, it's like an actual game.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're finally inside a Solo Leveling Arise on the Canadian Open Beta, which I believe there is no wipe for. Not sure how servers will work though. If you do want to play, TapTap has it for download on Android.
At
Otherwise,
Android
you can install a
16.
PC client, just activate a VPN to Canada, go to the website, download the client, run the client with the VPN on, and then once you're in the game, you can turn the VPN off and away you go. So that's how
Wait,
you can
I
play
need,
if you
like-
wanna jump in
I
and
need a
play. Like I said, I'm
VPN?
not too sure on all the fine details about it, but we're gonna have to take a look at what I've done so far. We're only like 3 hours into the release.
Hang on. It's almost like Genshin. Oh, God, bro. Oh, I can download on PC? Wait. I'm gonna download it. What's up? Is it on Steam? No, I went to the website. I was gonna... I'm not showing my stream because I don't want like anything to leak, you know? I'll play it on stream if it's like ready, bro. So I don't have shit to do anyway. You feel me? PC registration. Yeah, well, yeah, I can do both. I can do both. Let me see. When's it come out, bro? Do you know? Pre-registration. Yeah, but it's saying like I have to fucking like pre-register. It's on the US yet? I wish it would tell me when it comes out. That'd be nice. Maybe. Well, I'm on the website right now. Oh, it's just April. With its beta version coming in. Beta version is coming March with the goal of the game being released in April. So can I play it or no?
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're finally inside a Solo Leveling Arise on the Canadian Open Beta, which I believe there is no wipe for. Not sure how servers will work though. If you do want to play, TapTap has it for download on Android. Otherwise, you can install the PC client. Just activate a VPN to Canada, go to the website, download the client, run the client with the VPN on, and then once you're in the game, you can turn the VPN off and away you go. So
The fucking VPN, bro. To Canada. This won't fucking my stream, will it? Well, we'll find out, I guess. Yes, I guess it's April. I didn't say what day though. I just said April. Maybe I'll get it. I really wish I could auto, bro. It's kind of annoying.
That's how you can play if you want to jump in and play. Like I said, I'm not too sure on all the fine details about it, but we're going to have to take a look at what I've done so far. We're only like 3 hours into the release. I took like...
Bro, how do I get a VPN? Remember how I come to console? I can wait. I cannot wait. That's when how Bleach Brave Souls is on console? I did not know that. Dude, why does this say free and then you have to pay for it, bro? Like, what the heck? Oops. That's what you get for not paying attention. That's so funny how they have gacha games on console. Should I stop playing Dokkan after 10 years? Yes, you should. Don't ever play Dokkan ever again. Hmm? Maybe it's on BlueStacks. Maybe I can play it on BlueStacks. I just need something to do, bro, to play. I'm gonna go crazy. Player World Tournament? Bro. I need something that's like not fucking gonna kill me. Out of boredom. No offense, pal. No, it's not a QI, bro. Fuck me in the ass. I don't want to wait. I hate waiting. Uh, what if I change my VPN to like fucking Colombia or something? I'm gonna cry, Dan. Who's the highest rank? How do I check that? Is it this one? Which tab is it? Oh, I found it. You're higher than Jay Fanta, dude. I am 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm 5 right now. So Jay Fanta to add me? Bro, I'm not his fucking servant, bro. Go tell Jay Fanta you're gonna be friends with them, brother. I met your bitch, pal. Dude, I want to play that game so bad. I'm scared of Asian man. You're not scared of me. What the hell is this? You're scared that you can play solo leveling? I want to play solo leveling so bad. I'm craving it, bro. I don't have to watch. What do you watch? Day Dog can give us a lot of meat recently. I have some meat you can have. If you want. I don't know what to watch. Dan, help me.
Oh yeah, we going throwback for this one. So we start off the episode focusing on some astronauts on the asteroid, and they looking for a material called Promethium X. And there's also this black stuff called the symbiote on the asteroid as well. Off rip, this already looks like an alien movie. The astronauts just lucky they actually got to Earth instead of getting rocked by some xenomorph on the ship. Anyways, basically everyone knows about this Promethium X stuff in New York, and since it's New York, a bunch of criminals are gonna want to steal it. Oh nah, y'all can already see that the symbiote saw some crazy timing. It doesn't even need a host to act like a menace. So now that the ship is off course, the guy driving the ship, who happens to be J. Jonah Jameson's son, tries to land the ship in the river, meaning all these people on this bridge have to evacuate their cars or else they're gonna get wiped off the battlefield like it's Clash of Clans. The body count gonna start looking like Majin Vegeta's at the World Tournament. Oh wow, Teddy Brock. I wonder if he'll be relevant later. Also, bro is crazy. He decides to take photos instead of evacuating his car. Does he not see what's happening?
Here we go, 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 go. On an adventure, the thingamajigger is up and away.
Oh wow, look, it's Spider-Man, and he's just in time to fight this big guy named Rhino. Dang, it smells like a whole barbecue in here. Oh, snap.
It's Trajan, new paddock.
Anyways, Rhino pulls up and absolutely no-diff Spider-Man, stomping on him like he's a roach in the kitchen.
Let's watch Don't Cheat the video, bro.
Alright guys, we are back for another Dokkan Battle video, so let's go ahead and take a look. Back in the day, I did a video just on easying this guy, you know, when it was first a new thing, like, oh my god, let's see the process to easy him. So
bro, you haven't uploaded in like 2 years.
I could put a sticker on him as well, which we probably, oh, look at like the outline and stuff. Alright, so let's go ahead. So we have the 30 medals. required to super easy A this guy. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll put a sticker on him as well, right? There we go. He's now super easy A.
You're not uploading anymore, bro.
Very cool. Yeah, that does look cool. Okay, okay.
I just anniversary stuff.
So we have,
Bro, that was like 4 months
EGL
ago.
Dragon Fist now super easy aid. I guess there's not really like an indication in here that he's super easy aid, huh? Like on the actual card itself. I mean, looking at this novel right here, I guess that's how we could tell. Let's give him a sticker as well. This guy is not a character I've ever given a sticker to previously, so let's go ahead and do that. So here we go, EGL Dragon Fist. Let me just fix up his build a little bit. I mean, I guess we'll just go dodge. That's his defensive mechanic of choice, so we'll just try and maximize that. And we'll see how good super easy a Dragon Fist is. Yeah, that is cool that it does have that little outline right there. I'll take it, man. I'll take it. I'll take it.
That's really cool. I like
All right,
that.
guys. This is what I settled on in terms of build. I mean, remember, super easy A's only enhance the character's passive. Goku's going to be doing guaranteed crits at the start. I more so care if a character is able to survive boss attacks rather than maximize damage with that. Again, because super easy A's only enhance a character's passive, one of the huge negatives here for this guy, I might as well just flip over to show you guys directly, but one of the big negatives we have for Dragon Fist right here.
How many missions are there, Dan, in WT?
So I'm not really seeing the value of giving this guy additionals. I don't really see much value in giving him crits either, so it's only really dodge. I don't think defense will be too good. I'm not really dying to give him raw attack. I mean, to my eyes, just dodge is the way to go with this super easy Dragon Fist.
Oh, I got the SR Vegeta.
Right, we did that. Let's jump into an event. Maybe we'll go fight Evolution Blue Vegeta and Supreme Battle Spectacle. Maybe that could make for a good. I don't know.
I don't know if they gave units out for free.
A little short though for a showcase. We'll jump in there and see how it goes. All right, guys. So we're here in an event again. This is Supreme Battle Spectacle Evolution Blue Vegeta. Kind of thinking about
right, Bryce will go on.
It's like an initial showcase stage. Very tough, but not like.
Bryce will go on, please, Daddy.
I don't know. Potentially good enough to do it.
Is there even a point to try to get 7 since this is a guaranteed SSR?
All right, so we have Dragon Fist out. Remember, unfortunately, he is a he's a big, fat, silly goose because the bastard only has 6 links, which is unfortunate. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right away, Super Easy 8 is not a mechanic for one of these characters right here.
That is so fucking funny, bro.
What's a good one to make this point on? Oh, I don't know, this. These are not what Super Easy is made for, right? Just flat out not the case. Super Easy.
That is awesome.
Is made for these characters.
LR Tau.
Right here. This is where this thing.
I didn't know you could pull old LR units.
Because we've gone over it how many millions of dozens of times to the point.
I really wanted this to go on.
Hater and stuff like that, but we just don't get enough villain releases. But if they're gonna do this, you know, because Dragon Fist, I think that this guy's going to be solid. He's going to be good. But on a lot of these teams, he's like your 20th option or some shit like that. But again, I mean, you go.
You have 2 free copies? Oh.
And it's like physical Kid Buu.
So if I pull one more, I can rainbow him.
Are going to be coming up on super easy.
That's not how that
Go
works.
in the sequential order. Wait, where are they? They should be down here, right? Yeah. So here's where like Texel is. And then physical Kid Buu, right? Like, if they do truly go in sequential order the way they said, like that's where we're gonna get.
So I could
from these super easy.
So if I pull 2 more, I can rainbow him.
We are on the movie hero team. We're on LR Carnival Gogeta's 200% movie hero team. So let's see. So Dragon Fist is at 300.
Lock your characters.
He gets 2 key 200%.
Yeah, he is locked.
He has a guaranteed crit on this turn.
That's cool. I want him so bad.
Chance to crit. Extreme class allies get a 10% chance to crit for 3 turns from his initial turn. That is interesting. So for the next 3 turns, we're all super class characters have a 20% extra chance to crit. It's an interesting ability.
I want this Jackie Chan.
Then he gets 150% attacking units for 5 turns, 150% attacking units, and a high chance of an additional super. when performing a super attack.
Isn't
for
this
7
banner
turns
like so much
from
better than
his
this
10th
banner?
turn,
This banner's
100%
ass.
on super starting from the 8th turn. He has a 30% chance to dodge, and then another.
Oh, this
30%
banner's so
chance
much
to dodge before
better.
Attacking. That I probably wouldn't want to run this guy in slot 1 too often. To me, I read that as more. That could be good for like Fusion Zamasu. We'll definitely take him against Red Zone Fusion Zamasu. And then finally, he gets 150% defense and a high chance to crit for 3 turns after dodging. So, I'll say this. I like him. I think you guys know me as someone who's, like, very tough on, like, new characters come out, like Frieza or Tech Super Saiyan Vegeta or, like, LR Broly, LR Gogeta, LR Beast, stuff like that. I am a very harsh critic for these characters.
How good does High School go
Because they're
on,
asking us to
man?
drop thousands of dollars to potentially rainbow them. It's just a fact. But this Goku, I mean, to be fair, right now they didn't release a way to get him. I think you're going to be able to get him with coins. There's no ban or anything like that. And this guy hasn't really been around in many years.
Must summon.
14 million turn 1. Okay. This is a guaranteed crit, by the way. And then there we go. Okay, so now dodging again is our main defensive mechanic. Here's Vegeta's super attack.
Well, he's probably good for hybrids, right? Because hybrids is kind of dog shit.
Connect, and we take 58k. 58? Let me double check how much damage Vegeta's doing here. This is Supreme Battle Spectacle, man. We're not in, a Dokkan event or something here. What is Vegeta's damage? 1.2 million. I mean, dude, bro. Again, I'm not grading this guy by LR Beast Gohan standards. This Dragon Fist. This is the first EZA character in the game.
Next dodge, yeah.
In 2017, and this guy released in 2015.
I agree.
Right? I am not gonna be so. I like it. I think Super EZAs are gonna be really good for the game, man.
Hybrid is kind of ass right now, though.
Again, we're in Supreme Battle Spectacle. And it's very clear that this guy is he's a reasonable option. I'm gonna try and... Yeah, Vegeta's not super attacking right away. So let me just get the Gammas to attack.
Vegeta, that's crazy.
Support or something like that.
Yeah, he'd be a good floater.
We're still several transformations away. Again, Vegeta's not supering right away. I knew that, so that was fine. And then next turn, Gogeta's gonna come out and heal. So we're completely fine. Woo! Man.
Actually, I just got level 5 dodge equips with
like this
the battle the burst mode shit. So maybe I'll give that to him.
He just has a lot of abilities that are good. Guaranteed crit. He's giving the crit support, which I do like. I mean, maybe a lot of his stats are pretty turn based. Like this guy is definitely geared more towards the Cell Max fight or Fusion Zamasu or something like that, more so than maybe like Supreme Battle Spectacle Gogeta Blue. But
top 2.
Like, I feel like
wait, how can I check mine? Which one is it? This is the first one?
Like, if you're a global player, why would you summon on Dokkan Fest Dragon Fist with this guy around, right? Like, I don't even see why you'd summon for him. Like, the Dokkan Fest, standby Dragon Fist is clearly better than this. Like, I'm not implying that, but...
Which one is it?
Okay. 751. I mean... I am... This isn't like one of these... This isn't like one of these showcases where, all that matters. Like, typically this video, I'd like to just see the stats of the character. But I guess we could do this. This is probably not a good idea. This Vegeta...
With the back arrow?
His super is 1.7 million. It's type disadvantage for Dragon Fist, and he has an 80% debuff. So I am putting Dragon Fist, I'm putting his head in over the deep end of the pool here. But let's see. Let's see. Again, the fact that he is
the enter numbers in the middle.
A real option in here is good.
So I'm
52. That's
65,000.
Damn. Okay.
Damn.
All right. So there's double super right there. Sure.
The bottom one's local.
Remember, he has a 50% chance to crit.
What's
right?
this one?
And he's taking double digits from this Vegeta, man. Vegeta's normals are 630k. Okay. If this hits, we're assuredly dead.
Oh, yeah, Bob. Oh. The 39 out of 208.
guys, like this Vegeta. This is a real fight. Look at him.
This one's local.
Wow. Damn. Yeah, dude.
So as long as they get top
I'm
150,
pretty
I'll
pleased with
get.
this. Like, we're gonna get some super EZA characters that are gonna be crazy, I think. Like, I still think that was pretty good. Like, this Vegeta fight, again, I mean, his super, he's doing 1.7 million, and he's lowering your defense by 80%. So, I mean, this guy is doing, like, probably more, like,
I'm already bored.
This super attack hits harder than, like, physical fusion Zamasu. This Evolution Blue Vegeta. Because that, you know, it's just that 80%.
But it's like, I would be like,
is gonna bite. It's
I would
again,
like,
it's gonna cause this
all I would
Vegeta
be,
to
all I would
hit
be doing
way
right now
harder
is just watching
than
YouTube anyway. So I might as well just do this and
I mean,
grind, you know.
Just put Dragon Fist right there in front, and we said, yeah, hey, have fun.
So the Hergirl statues, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Stalin needs to
mean,
grind, bro. I don't know how Stalin was broke.
Again, like if you've got AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku, I'm sure a lot of players are not going to have him because I can't.
I have him.
I think with Dokkan Info, we could see like the last banner he was on, right? Hold on. Let's do this. Yeah, here we go. Okay, hold on. Let's take a look. Yeah, this fight is done. We could end it on this turn. Okay, so this right here. So these are the banners he's been on. So these are just like worldwide down. Like these don't count. I'm not counting these. Worldwide download banners. What? No, that's not. Dude, this is a New Year's banner.
What's this,
This is
Dan?
like
Like
this is
these,
New
like the
Year's
points. Like, what does this mean?
2016.
Are these missions?
Okay. We're just looking for like a Dokkan. Not that. Not that. We're looking for just like. Wow. Are you kidding me? This is
What is
2020.
this?
No way that's his last banner. 2020. We're not counting those. This is 2018.
Some point missions?
Not counting those.
Oh, it's like this.
Bro. This is 2017. He hasn't been on a banner.
So the max
This
is
is
3,000
2017.
points.
He hasn't been on a real banner since 2020. His last true banner was Bardock. That's so wild.
Literally
That's
Dragon
March 18th of
Stones.
2020 right there. That's so crazy. Now let
This
me
is World
also
Tournament play
pull up
missions?
a different thing
Oh.
news. They're saying, I believe, that they're gonna make him available.
So those are World Tournament.
These-
Okay.
Here.
Point missions.
This right here. Let's take a look at this. Following character was not added to the lineup available with red coins. This is him. The above character will be added today. Okay. He's going to be added to red coins, even though he's not on a banner at all. Huh. Isn't he super cheap, like 150 red coins? Bro, these... I could almost do a video on this. Like, I would probably recommend this guy with red coins. 150 for this guy? I don't know. Like if you're a global player, is it better to spend 150 red coins on Super EZA Dragon Fist or summon for Dokkan Fest Dragon Fist? Like, I would say the coins. I would say getting this guy with coins is smarter than summoning for the Dokkan Fest Dragon. Again, Global's getting that Dokkan Fest Dragon Fist in a week and a half. Like, he's about to show up. I would think it's a better use of resources.
Once you find the
probably
rhythm.
to grab this guy with red coins, because I think he's only 150. Don't hold me to that, but he's only 150 red coins, right? Like, he's not a 500 red coin character or something like that. That's nuts. Do we need to see more of him? I feel like we're good. Like, we're good.
The
Like,
first
we're
one
solid.
with 4 people
This
just
guy's
is
good.
so
I like
fucking
him.
boring.
I do. I mean, I'm not.
The single
holding
ones aren't
him to
that
the same
bad.
Standards I held First Form Frieza to, or transforming Super Saiyan Vegeta. Pretty good, man. Oh, look how cool that looks. That little outline, man. So good, so good. So yeah, AGL Dragon Fist Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I'm impressed by what we saw, man. I really am. I think he looks pretty solid. So let's go and take a look at this guy. I'm not really the biggest fan of how they did this on the Dokkan Wiki here. So they have the before EZA and then the EZA tab. And then here's this original EZA passive. And then here's a second EZA passive. I do kind of like it a little bit better over here where we've got his base, his EZA, and then also his.
Yeah, Dokkan feels so much better. Was you say their AGL Goku on his original banner? Oh, I wish it showed you which banners you got him on. I do not remember where I got him. Nothing seems interesting, bro. Oh, when in doubt, look up a video essay. Now you're good, Dan. I'll see you later. Call me later.
The 25th of August 2009 was a dark night for the Batman. Locked in an insane asylum, overtaken by a psychopathic clown, forced to confront his deepest trauma by a doctor dressed as a scarecrow, learning that the hospital wing he funded was ground zero for corruption, abuse, and a sickly superhuman serum. Hunted through murky sewers by a human-crocodile hybrid, watching helplessly as innocent people die on his watch, unable to be everywhere, save everyone, all at once.
But what can you do as Batman specifically?
Well, one of the main goals of the game in general is to really feel like you are Batman.
When Rocksteady brought Batman Arkham Asylum to E3 in 2009, they were fighting for their voices to be heard. Every single interview online is overtaken by noise, hoarse throats, and speedy interviewers off to see the next big thing. They were a small fish in a big pond, a barely known studio with a game coming out in the year of Assassin's Creed 2, Uncharted 2, and Modern Warfare 2. And really, how good could a licensed superhero game actually be? But out of Arkham Asylum's darkness was born a brand new video game Batman with love, craft, care, and colour injected into his veins and the hearts of his enemies. A pulpy, full-throttle swing into madness where, on repeat playthroughs, you can trace the lines of code Rocksteady lay to find their Batman and give his world a voice. We are the Batman, not a copycat, not a video game character with Batman's pus painted on top, not a version of Batman. The Batman. For me, this is my Batman. You punch as Batman, skulk as Batman, kick as Batman, use his tools, experience his fears, see the world through his eyes. Detective Vision comes with its flaws, sure, but we're still Batman, and you just need to look at the elusive depth of the free flow combat system to note how we analyze some situations as Batman. We think like Batman, not quite like the Dark Knight or the Caped Crusader, not yet, despite this Bat being in action for a decade when the game opens. Those evolutions are saved for future games, but here, right at the beginning of the series in 2009, we are the Batman. But what the hell does that even mean?
Let's face it, Batman is complicated, he's got issues, he's dark, he's got problems, and he overcomes them all, which is what people love about him. But he has no superpowers.
The question of what makes Batman Batman has cropped up time and time again, and while I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, there's definitely versions of the character I think are boring, and versions of the character I think are interesting. Billionaire Batman that's always prepared for everything? Boring, surface level. A Batman always on the verge of cracking? Interesting, tense. Merciless Batman that kills? Boring, charmless. A Batman whose greatest superpower is his discipline? Into the answer provided by comics writer and fellow Scot Grant Morrison. When Kevin Smith asked him what it was about Batman that made them fall in love, this is what they said. It's a long quote, but it's so good, so stick with me. You can take it even deeper, they said. Look at Christ. Christ is God made flesh. Whether you believe it or not, it's a story, like Batman. Both make us feel something. They press a human button like that. It's the idea of, I can watch my parents shot dead in the street, and everything will go to chaos, and I will make meaning of it. I will use all of my resources to make it into something positive and good. I'm going to be a hero in this. And Batman will always speak to that. Superman's different because he's of the light, but Batman's of the dark. Like Christ, he's down in the dirt with us, and he's making sense of it all. It's significant. Morrison, along with the artist Dave McKean, created the graphic novel Arkham Asylum, a serious house on Serious Earth in 1989. Today, it's better known simply as Batman Arkham Asylum, which, yes, makes finding copies of it online very confusing. In the story, the Joker has taken over Arkham, and Batman needs to fight his way through some familiar faces to bring it back under control. It loosely inspired Rocksteady's game 20 years later, and when I say loose, I mean it. There's no Titan, Two-Face is a key character, Amadeus Arkham is central to the plot, with more page time given to him than Batman. It's also dark, darker even than the game, because it's so serious. No no cheese, instead focusing on the twistedness of the asylum. The art swirls off the page, bleeding into maddening colors and shapes, delving into the psychology of the Bat. It's in here that we find a Batman pushed to the brink. We're going to be walking through Rocksteady's Arkham Asylum in detail, but alongside it, I want to tell you the story of a serious house on a serious Earth. This is because while both exist independently of one another, I think it's really interesting to consider the nightmare that helped Rocksteady find their Batman. So, spoilers ahead. This is a commentary and critique of Batman Arkham Asylum.
Hey, Sharpie. Love what you've done with the place.
That's Walden Shop to you.
This video is going to act as a love letter to Arkham Asylum in a lot of ways, but nothing is a bigger love letter to Batman than this game, so I want to kick off by looking at its presentation. Looking back on the Arkham series as a whole package makes Arkham Asylum's opening even better. Batman's been in action for a few years, it's just another night. Joker had a rampage, took the mayor hostage, but he was recaptured pretty quickly, almost without a fight. Suspicious. We're picking up immediately with the series' main focus, Batman and the Joker. Even Arkham Origins, developed by WB Montreal, not Rocksteady, hyper-focuses on the relationship between the Bat and the Clown. But that's not the only thing Asylum prioritizes. Arkham Asylum doesn't just want you to feel like Batman, there you go, I said the thing, but it wants you to feel his inspirations, to appreciate his history. A serious house on Serious Earth is the inspiration, sure, but it doesn't stop there. Batman's suit is a big-eared version of Jim Lee's design, best known for Batman Hush, with the grey colour and yellow utility belt belt, giving him some vibrancy, reminding us of the game's keenness to bask in its comic book aesthetic. The cinematography of the cutscenes even gives you shots that might as well be ripped from Lee's pages. Areas are announced to you with flapping 2D wings that whoosh on screen and off again, understated but noticeable. Even the pause screen wants to impress you. A quick jab of a button and boom, black and white outlines sketch out across the screen, and navigating the menu is an art form in itself, with bold contrasts, never letting you forget Batman's comic book origins. The first 10 minutes is an exposition crawl that acts as a streamlined tour through this version of Batman, the Asylum, Barbara, Sharp, Bowles, Gordon, Joker, and a couple of his other rogues. You could argue that it's a little slow, but I think it's entirely necessary. There are hundreds of versions of the Bat out there, so Arkham needs to draw its line in the sand as quickly as possible, and it does so with a sense of adoration. Paul Dini, Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, and Arlene Sorkin are brought over from the animated series to give some legitimacy to the writing and these versions of Batman, Joker, and Harley Quinn. But this Joker specifically is very different.
There seems to be...
I go.
Take my temperature? I'd be happy to drop my pants.
In the animated series, Mark Hamill's villain and Kevin Conroy's hero first met in the Season 1 episode Christmas with the Joker. It opens with Joker in Arkham. He sings Jingle Bells, Batman Smells before jumping on a rocket ship Christmas tree and escaping. And yes, that is a real sentence that I wrote. Despite carrying a lot of the camp and fun factor over from the animated series, Arkham's Joker is far more disturbing. In this opening, he doesn't even do anything. He's strapped down, incapacitated, babbling and joking, but we're taught one of the most important things about his character here, how much he craves the attention he's getting. This is a dream come true for him. Look at all of these people here just for him. He should be honored, but something about their behavior implies a serious sense of danger. Warden Quincy Sharp treats the Joker as a bomb waiting to go off. Dozens of guards level their guns on him despite the fact he's chained up. We hear that lethal force is authorized if he tries to make a break for it. A doctor checks his condition just to have the bejesus scared out of him. He's scanned for weapons by a cold, unfeeling machine, not frisked by one of the guards in case he gets hurt. One of the guards, Frank Bowles, is so stressed he's openly drinking on the job. Is nobody gonna do anything about that? Oh, I forgot, Arkham's as corrupt as the Qatar World Cup. The lights go out for just a moment, showing us how rickety and old the asylum is. Despite the gadgets and tech, it's incapable of containing the Joker. Before they even have a chance to flicker back into life, Batman is there with his hand around the Joker's throat. Prepared, paranoid. You might think Arkham Asylum's opening is slow, but it's a masterclass in characterizing its people, monsters, and setting. Anyone could go a little mad in here, and by minute 10, it becomes anything but slow.
Welcome to the madhouse, Batman! I set a trap, and you sprang it gloriously.
But first, every step Batman takes through Arkham's halls is watched by the Joker. He's exposed in here. Sounds like he could do with this video's sponsor, Atlas VPN. If you're not using a VPN right now, then chances are your information is being sold online. Your personal data, what sites you go to, what your browsing habits are, none of it is private, and you're opening yourself up to malware. Having a VPN can fix all of that, and Atlas is the best deal on the market. Right now, they're running a huge discount, which means you can get a 3-year subscription for just $1.99 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. It took me less than 5 minutes to get started. I signed up, downloaded the VPN, activated it, and boom. Not only am I protected, but I could watch Matilda the Musical on Netflix over the holidays. It's not available in the UK. And do you want to know the best part?
Don't be Matilda.
Also lets me save money. No, seriously. Plane tickets, hotels, they all have different prices depending on where in the world that site thinks you're from. It's called price discrimination, and it's going to get worse. But more importantly, games have different prices too. Geez, Australians, you're getting charged through the nose. Through using Atlas VPN's limited time offer of $1.99 a month, I can have more security, more online freedom, and spend less on gaming. Easy choice, right? So, click the link below to sign up today and help the channel out. Thanks again to Atlas VPN, and on with the video. Batman's nightmare doesn't begin with his entry to Arkham. It begins here, with Joker's grand reveal. He set a trap and we sprang it gloriously. He set fire to Blackgate Prison to have his personal army of goons move to Arkham. He took the mayor hostage so Batman would come and get him. He blackmailed Frank Bowles into helping Harley Quinn take over the security system, and he's just getting started. Arkham Asylum gives us a Joker that's affecting because he's ripped straight out of Batman's amygdala. That's the part of the brain that processes fear. It doesn't matter, it was clumsy wordplay. In this game, the Joker is prepared. He's Machiavellian. He's not just kidnapped a family and planted some bombs, he's got a plan. A proper plan with layers and steps and backups. He's got plan Bs, Cs, right through to Z and beyond. This Joker is so dangerous because he's not just a wild card this time. He's thinking like Batman, and with his arms outstretched, Arkham Asylum explodes into one of gaming's strongest opening hours. Before the tutorial is over, we've watched the Joker win, taken down Victor Zsasz, met Harley Quinn, fought a Titan mini-boss, met Killer Croc, had a lift dropped on us, been mocked by the Riddler, stealthed, detectived, punched, grappled, and saved people, all in the game's first building, before being unleashed into the hub world. There's a fundamental strength to choosing Arkham Asylum as a game setting. It leers at a player, offering opportunities for tightly knitted pacing with a crooked hand, opportunities that broadening to an open world Gotham would limit. There's a contextual reason for tossing villain after villain at our hero. They've all been locked up in this prison for far too long. The asylum hasn't treated them, it's tortured them, made them worse. The second Joker and Harley unlocked the gates on their cells, they naturally seized their chance at revenge. This means that any time the story deviates, any time Batman is torn away from the goal of stop the Joker, we don't feel bogged down by busywork. This is the goal, this is the power fantasy, soaring up to gargoyles and landing on Zsasz, saving Jim Gordon, finding trophies to track down the Riddler, because it all leads to the same objective, undoing Joker's damage, regaining control of the asylum. That means Rocksteady can front-load its first hour with a whole host of disconnected faces without undermining the Joker as the juicy big bad.
Seeing as how I'm feeling generous, I'll give you this one for free. Knock me off, I dare you. End this. Pull the plug. Stop me once and for all.
The game is a long sequence of princesses and other castles, but we barely notice because of how stuffed it is with charismatic, unhinged foes and scenarios. Batman comes face to face with Joker 5 times before the final confrontation, and each time, the Joker gets away with a painted smile and wave. Here, mere moments after he takes control of the asylum, Joker stands on a shaky platform and actually dares Bats to knock him off, drop him to his doom, end it all. And even though it means a long, cold, maddening night in hell, Batman refuses, leading to Joker revealing another stage in his lengthy plan. Titan, a super serum that turns patients into monsters. This is where Rocksteady unequivocally tell us which parts of Batman's character they are most interested in. His no-killing rule, his discipline and restraint, and his unyielding belief that everyone can be saved, even the Joker. This is a belief that's played with across the whole series, making it feel purposeful and planned, even when split across 2 independent studios. In fact, there seems to be a concerted effort to reinforce Batman's status as a hero outside of just taking down the bad guys, Gotham Knights. The older I get, the more I find it's something I look for in my superhero stories. The Killing Joke is a masterpiece, sure, but I don't need or want every Batman story to be that. Sometimes I want to be reminded that my heroes are heroes, Gotham Knights, that they save and inspire people they don't know as part of the story, rather than just a side quest. They don't just beat up thugs in the street, Gotham Knight. Arkham's opening is all about the villain introductions and all about the saving.
Tech so
Numerous
good, bro.
scenarios are given to us where we save doctors, janitors, guards, patients, and criminals. We stop Zsasz from killing a guard. We rescue thugs from poison gas. Oh, whoops, don't worry, I'll come back for him. There are lots of moments in the story where Batman puts a momentary pause on his Joker chase to go and help regular people, and yeah, if the gameplay loop was boring, if the combat was unsatisfying, if stealth was frustrating, those diversions might be a mark against the game. But we all know that's not the case. It's a testament to Rocksteady's confidence in those systems, to their wholehearted approach to reminding us we are the Batman, that we get to enjoy saving people, rather than see it as a task to be checked off a list. It's all part of the game's enthusiasm about being a living comic book.
Hey, someone help Bat Baby up off the floor.
That enthusiasm even carries over to failure. If we die, the supervillain of the hour steps into our game over screen not just mocking Batman, but mocking the player because of how it's framed. And they're so entertaining that sometimes I would let myself get killed just to see what Poison Ivy or Scarecrow had to say for themselves. Asylum relishes these villains. Rocksteady might have designed Arkham with the Batman fantasy in mind, but by the time the opening ends and the game opens up, it's hard hard not to feel like the bad guys are the reason the game exists in the first place. Paul Dini all but confirmed that this was a starting point during development. In a 2009 interview with The Guardian, he said, quote, "We knew that Batman would be going into Arkham, Joker would be the ultimate villain, and who Batman would encounter along the way, and from there, we kind of opened it up a little bit to say, okay, who really challenges Batman in this scenario? What villains can we bring in?" Everyone at Rocksteady understood the importance of tone. Arkham was going to be grown up, scary, while keeping the camp, and there's something to be said for how these villains are given a visual identity that leans on this attitude, and is explicitly Arkham. Scarecrow, Harley, Croc, Bane, Joker, Ivy, every single one of them feel like the animated series has grown up and grown teeth. Harley and Ivy are hypersexualized, but I don't think there's any malicious intent there. They're victims of Rocksteady's immaturity, a studio still incredibly early in its career. A grown-up Scarecrow means a mask with thin threads
I don't think it's
look like
bad.
terrifying teeth, while a grown-up Harley means a sexy nurse's outfit. We were still a few years out from Jimmy Palmiotti's run that revamped the character. And actually, wait, can we focus on Harley for a minute? Because returning to these games made me seriously question 14-year-old me. Young Monty, did we really think this was sexy? Or was it just Jessica Nigri's cosplay that did it? Because for a start, this is how she was animated, by one of the devs sauntering around in a mocap suit. And second, in 2022, Harley's animation, just like every other character in the game, is stiff. Incredibly stiff. Playing the remastered edition shows it off best, and regardless of the technical limitations of the Xbox 360, it turns out that this, beautifully, was kind of the point. To take the words right out of Xavier Coben, the lead animator's mouth, they were, quote, hand animated to capture an abstract feeling. They all look fantastic, but alongside that is a plasticky aesthetic that strengthens this focus on a living comic book. Harley's pigtails are rigid, they flop around like rubber strapped to her skull. Her mouth gapes and flaps with each word. Today, it might look a little dated, but the over-the-top tone and art style is so captivating that it adds to Arkham's vibe. It doesn't take away from it.
B-Man, Mr. J doesn't want you following us just yet.
Color bleeds through the island. There's a reason comics separate colorists and illustrators. An understanding of what shades, which hues bring a moment and a character to life is key to the reader experience. Arkham Asylum understands that tenfold. The color palette changes depending on who's in control at particular moments. At the very beginning, it's all greys and dark blues because Batman's in control, transitioning to waves of green and purple when Joker takes over, just to be saturated by a dizzying sea of greens and reds when Ivy is injected with Titan. Croc's sewers are a gurgling brown and green. Scarecrow's nightmare levels swirl with diseased beige, brown, and yellow. The environments breathe with whichever character is in charge. That abstract feeling Xavier Coben discussed earlier isn't just limited to the character animations, it's in every beat and hum of the experience. It's pulpy and hyper-exaggerated. This game, just like A Serious House on Serious Earth, usurps realism. It's not interested in giving us a realistic Batman that could exist in our world. Nolan's films have already done that. Instead, it wants to give us a surreal Batman that can only exist in the world Rocksteady have designed. Parts of the asylum are warped and unwieldy, some of it reduced to ruins and rubble. The landscape is uneven. There's a stack of graves outside that are so full that they make the ground seem bulbous and writhing. Assets like doors and desks seem big, far too big to seem natural, disproportionate to Batman's size. He is 6'2", how the hell is a little doctor nerd supposed to get up to that desk? Now, I'm not going to argue that this was on purpose. It's probably because Batman is a big guy with a big cape, and if these objects were regular sized, the collision detection would break the game. But Arkham's atmosphere is so thick that suspending your disbelief isn't just easy, it's immediate. Sure, these doors are massive. Arkham's built on Gothic architecture, big doors were a part of that. Or maybe there's traces of Scarecrow's fear toxin in the Bat system, so everything looks a little bit off. Or maybe none of that matters because its effect is so impressive. It makes the asylum dwarf Batman, close in around him, squeeze him as the madness of the night reaches boiling point. And as we leave intensive treatment, stepping out into the cool night air of the grounds, we're met with the big bare arse of the moon, swallowing up the sky, acting as a silhouette and a mission statement. This is a game that will let us find our Batman. The pages of A Serious House on Serious Earth dissolve into madness almost immediately. The year is 1901. An 11-year-old Amadeus Arkham climbs the stairs of his mansion, bringing dinner to his mother. She's bedridden, suffering since the death of her husband, a frail shadow of who she once was. "Mother," he calls out, "it's me, I've brought you something to eat." "I've eaten," Elizabeth Arkham mumbles. "Please," Amadeus says, "I think you should try to eat some of this." "Eaten," his mother snaps back. I've eaten. Black, squirming beetles push out from between her teeth. Their legs snap and their wings fray as they fall from her mouth. Years later, Amadeus thinks about the beetle, how it's a symbol of rebirth, how somehow, some way, his mother thought that eating beetles would protect her from something.
Ew.
Even then, he understood the significance of this moment. He thinks how his mother had been born again, reborn into that other world, the dark world, the mad world. We flash ahead to present-day Gotham. It's April 1st. Jim Gordon stands on the rooftop of the Gotham City Police Department. The bat signal penetrates the night sky. He's waiting for the Batman. "Sorry I'm late," Batman states. In the rain and the gloom, he's a formless, shifting shadow. "There's been a riot at Arkham Asylum," Jim says. "The inmates seized control of the building. We don't know how it happened, but they're holding the staff hostage. They're demanding to see you, to talk to you personally." A phone rings. Jim warns Batman that it's the Joker. "Joker, what do you want?" "Oh, I think you can guess." The Joker's voice cackles out of the speaker. "We want you in the madhouse with us, where you belong." "And what if I say no?" Batman asks. "Well, we have so many friends here, sweetheart. Say hello to Pearl." A voice, a woman's voice, sobs over the line. "Such a crybaby, isn't she? Pearl is 19 years old. She wants to be an artist. She just drew me a beautiful house. She drew it with this pencil." There's a rattling and a scratching over the line. "This pencil that I've just sharpened. Open your eyes wide, Pearl. Oh, they're so beautiful, so blue,
They're
so..."
so cringe.
The only thing louder than Pearl's screams.
Where's Gordon?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I'm over here.
Shut up!
Jim Gordon has been captured by Harley Quinn. Our mustachioed damsel in distress is waiting in the medical facility for someone bat-shaped to come and rescue him. But Harley's locked off the main entrance, so we need to go the long way round, which means there's plenty of time to talk about the game's approach to collectibles. Riddle me this: who has two thumbs and has had his morning coffee?
Yes, it is I, Edward Nygma, the Riddler, and more importantly, your intellectual superior.
That's right, this dickhead, the Riddler, Edward Nygma, E-Dog, Arkham Asylum's most ingenious characterization, and definitely its least bad villain. Seriously, aside from breaking out of prison, Nygma doesn't actually commit any crimes, at least not in this game. Yet he's perfectly grating. We never see him, we only get his voice, transmitted from an undisclosed location, but he spent the past few years preparing for a night like this. A night where the Batman is stuck in the asylum with nothing better to do than crack a few optional riddles. Arkham blends a collectathon with the Riddler's neurosis and obsessive compulsion to be the smartest guy in the room. Each trophy collected or puzzle solved leads us one step closer to the Riddler's real location, eventually resulting in an off-screen arrest. There's no boss fight with the Riddler or final confrontation. If I'm being cynical, he's scene dressing for a treasure hunt. But if that's the case, he's really good scene dressing. There are 5 types of collectibles in the game: riddles to solve, trophies to find, interview tapes to listen to, Joker teeth to destroy, and Chronicles of Arkham. I think we can all agree that 3 of these collectibles are fantastic: the riddles, the tapes, and the Chronicles. The other 2, the trophies and the Joker teeth, are a grind. But why is that?
Let's discuss your obsession with Batman.
Hardly an obsession, Miss Young. I simply feel an obligation to expose him.
You know who he is?
More important, I know what he is.
I think it comes down to intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is where a player wants to do something because of the inherent satisfaction of doing that thing. It's fun in and of itself. Because of a variety of reasons that we will look at later, punching as Batman feels great, so the player is intrinsically motivated to seek out fights and punch bad guys. Extrinsic motivation is where a player wants to do something because of the reward they'll get at the end of it. That could be experience points, loot, money, more story, whatever. When we talk about Arkham's collectibles, there's one overarching extrinsic motivator that ties them all together: beating the Riddler. The goal of defeating him is more valuable and more rewarding than the act of collecting itself. The interview tapes give us incredibly entertaining insight to the game's cast of big bads, filling us in on their history, like getting to hear Harley Quinn fall in love with the Joker, or Killer Croc eating Catch's hand. That's the extrinsic motivator. We want to find them so we can hear more, but the act of searching for these tapes isn't satisfying in itself, because usually they're just sitting on a desk or a bench, illuminated by detective vision. The Chronicles of Arkham are a bit more of a challenge, but similar in their outcome. With just a couple of exceptions, they're all found either on the main path, behind walls, or through vents. The fun factor comes from the detailed voiceover that we get, from the captivating story that it tells, but the physical act of hunting for them isn't interesting because of the lack of variety. Once you've knocked down one wall, you've knocked down them all, meaning these are mini puzzles with a solution you already know. The reward is extrinsic, not intrinsic. Joker teeth are infuriating. Tiny chattering gums clap along the ground. Each area in the game has up to 20 of them, the majority of which are just strewn in corridors we'll walk through on the way to the next objective. And those that aren't are tucked away in corners you'll easily miss, forcing you to do a full sweep of levels you've already conquered in the endgame. When we see them, there's barely any time to think before we toss a Batarang and destroy them. No challenge, nothing cool to see, no player creativity, no intrinsic or extrinsic reward outside of XP. And then there's the Riddler trophies themselves. Out of 240 collectibles, these make up 101 of them. Less than 50%, but damn does it feel like more. The Riddler hardly brought his A-game to these because there's no puzzles here, nothing to figure out. They're less of a treasure hunt and more of a scavenger hunt, because there's no satisfaction to collecting one aside from the little goblin part of our brain that likes to see the percentage go up. There's simply nothing memorable here. Don't believe me? Well, riddle me this. You stand in a room and activate detective vision. A vent in the corner of the room lights up. You crawl into it and find a green trophy in the shape of a question mark. Are you A, in the medical facility, B, in the penitentiary, C, in the botanical gardens?
Oh.
Too slow. The answer is D. All three, the caves, intensive treatment, and every single section of the island. This is the most common way you will find a Riddler trophy. Those of you who watched my Quantum Break critique know I love my spreadsheets and my stats, but this time, the numbers ended up being kinda depressing. To collect them all, you need to fully upgrade the cryptographer and all of the gadgets, which means there are a good chunk of trophies saved for the endgame. By that point, trophy hunting loses a lot of its allure because in the final hour, there's nothing else going on. No villains on the prowl, no goons to fight, no stealth sections to creep through, just Batman, vents, electric panels, and weak walls to blow up. We find the trophies in the same way we find the Chronicles of Arkham, and while that repetition can become quite chilled and meditative while listening to a podcast, I challenge anyone watching to sincerely tell me you were motivated by the act of finding the Riddler trophies. At no point was I seeking them out because that was the fun thing to do. I was seeking them out because I was motivated by the extrinsic factor of taking down the Riddler.
I'm losing patience. You're cheating. You must be.
Generally, I think there's a couple of directions you could go in with Edward Nygma. Paul Dano's version from the 2022 movie is one of them. He was so pathetic that it was sad and borderline sympathetic. That version explored how damaging his compulsions could be when they were warped by a socio-political agenda. He wasn't enjoying himself, he was on a crusade, and that painted his mental state as explicitly tragic. Asylum's version is much more fun. He enjoys his compulsion, he's pleased with himself. It gives him meaning and purpose, so we don't need to feel guilty about hating him. He's a hypocrite and the butt of a game-long joke. We're encouraged to see him as irritating. Every word out of his mouth is patronizing or insulting. With every riddle solved, he'll accuse us of cheating, which is ironic because we learn that he's a cheater himself, inventing riddles with random answers and historically cheating at quizzes. His role as an antagonist, his characterization, is the #1 motivator for 100% completing the game. His assholery is so effective, so juicily performed, that we want to beat him. If there was no voice acting, if the collectibles just existed in Arkham's world without the Riddler popping up to mock us every now and then, I wouldn't be nearly as interested in collecting them all.
What? You found that one too? Preposterous.
There is one collectible that flies in the face of all of that, isn't there? The most important set of challenges in the Riddler's arsenal, the riddles themselves. They're the only collectible that gives us an extrinsic and intrinsic reward. They're interesting to complete, and what we get for doing so is often very, very cool. When entering a room, a riddle will flash up on screen in green writing. When Nigma makes his presence known, he tells us not to, quote, cut yourself on this sharply dressed portrait. Ha ha ha, love a good pun. What this means is we need to wander over to a portrait of Warden Sharp and scan it. Boom, riddle complete. A simple little tutorial to make us think critically, force us to use our surroundings and the world building to put the pieces together. For the rest of the game, the riddles will vary in difficulty, but because we can't rely on detective vision to give us the answer, we need to think like Batman. We need to be the world's greatest detective, we need to observe, we need to interpret, and that experience is satisfying in its own right. But the best part is we need to explore the asylum's detail, to look for the little stories, the Easter eggs, the hints at a grander, more fleshed out world waiting in Gotham City. Firefly, Two-Face, Penguin, Catwoman, and many, many more beloved characters come up as answers to the riddles. We get to see Killer Croc's cage where he enjoyed a daily lunch. We find where Scarecrow stored his fear toxin, preparing an elaborate scheme to conquer Gotham. They're just a cheeky excuse for Rocksteady to guide us to Easter eggs, and for a chunk of them, we are rewarded with character biographies and gorgeous, hand-drawn art of friends and foes. Rocksteady's way of showing us how they interpret characters that didn't make it into the game. The riddles are fun to crack, and we get cool rewards. They're intrinsic and extrinsic. That's why we remember them so fondly. Well, okay, that's half true, because not every riddle leads to an Easter egg or something cool to see. A handful of them lead us to perspective puzzles. Using detective mode, we need to find question marks painted on the walls and floors, lining up a dot with a curved line when the damn thing works. Come on, Edward, that is totally lined up. These work because they're used so sparingly. Barely 10% of the riddles come in this form, so they're a nice change of pace and a neat challenge. There's a similar mindset to the Easter egg riddles. They require us to think, be observant, and angling Batman into position with various gadgets working around the level design is the closest thing to a mechanical puzzle Asylum ever gives us. That's still only half of the story, but Batman's made it inside the medical facility by now, so we better catch up with him.
What's going on? They were talking like they were in control. Is it true the Joker escaped?
Unfortunately, yes. But not for long.
Bat saves Aaron Cash, the hook-handed head of Arkham Security, and Penelope Young, chief psychiatrist at the asylum and the head of Project Titan. Titan was originally conceived as a serum to cure criminal insanity. Driven by her desire to fix the Joker once and for all, Young accepted an anonymous donation from a Mr. Jack White, the Joker in disguise, funding her research because he has his own plans for Titan. Our hunt for more information starts in the basement of the medical facility, the place where Titan was conceived. There's another extrinsic reward connected to the Riddler's collectibles. Experience points. All the Joker teeth we destroy, all the trophies we find, it all adds up to give Batman a little booster, meaning he gets stronger through exploration, not just through kicking ass. Asylum's upgrade system is nice and simple, harking back to them good old video game days when there was no gear, no goot, garbage loot, just unlockable, useful abilities. It's a quality rather than quantity approach. Gotham Knights. XP adds up to give us a skill point. Each skill point unlocks one upgrade. They're not all created equal. When faced with an extra Batarang or a new stealth takedown, I think we'd all pick the takedown, but endgame Batman definitely feels stronger, more flexible, more agile than early game Batman. Upgrades give us more options, and while later games in the series will make this evolution more visceral and detectable, there is a growth. The throw, the free flow takedown, the remote Batarang, the proximity detector for explosive gel, none of this is gifted to us by the main story. We need to earn it and unlock it, and because we earn experience points through fighting against the Riddler, there's a connection between besting him and being the best Bat possible. And speaking of the best, let's look at combat. A ring of salt has been drawn around Arkham Asylum to keep out evil spirits. Batman brushes his fingers through it, breaking the circle, and hears a voice cut through the darkness.
Why don't you sprinkle some of that on me, honey? Ain't I just good enough to eat?
Batman states that he's here. He did as the Joker asked. Release the hostages.
You heard him, folks. Hit the trail.
Guards, doctors, janitors, they file out of the grounds. The Joker grabs a woman at the back of the line.
Bye, Pearl. Let's do it again sometime.
Pearl? Batman looks at her. But her eyes, they're fine.
April Fools.
Batman stares. Rage. Just rage.
Oh, listen up, tight ass.
Joker reaches down, groping Batman, but Batman spins around.
Take your filthy hands off me.
What's the matter? Have I touched a nerve? How is the boy wonder anyway? Has he started shaving yet? The Joker steps forward and places his hands on the door to the asylum. April Sweet is coming in, he sings, pushing into the welcome area. Let the feast of fools begin. A miasma of shapes, lines, bodies, faces meet Batman's gaze. A party is in full swing. We are outside of logic, outside of reason, outside of space and time and structure. What are the inmates eating? What are they touching? There are no recognizable voices or faces on the page, just a concert of textures. Dr. Cavendish, the asylum's warden, steps forward. Joker, he barks. I've had enough of this madness. But the Joker looms over him like a spectre, so much larger, a white void in makeup. Enough madness? Enough? And how do you measure madness? He grabs Cavendish's face. Kiss me, Charlie. Ravage me, but no tongues, you hear? Not at our first date. I'm warning you, Cavendish shouts, but the Joker cuts right in. You're in no position to issue warnings, Charlie, not with your guilty secret. You told me you released all of the hostages, Batman growls. Well, we insisted on staying, Batman. A woman appears to his right, lighting up. I'm Ruth Adams, a psychotherapist here. And this is Doc Cavendish, Joker laughs, our current administrator and a man who just loves to administer currents to ECT patients. I have a duty to the state, Cavendish rumbles. Well, while we're discussing duty, it looks like someone's just done theirs on the floor. Joker pulls aside a table to reveal Two-Face. Harvey Two-Face. He's naked, ragged, clumsily shuffling a deck of cards. A puddle of urine flows from underneath him. I'm sorry, Two-Face mutters. I couldn't help it. It takes so long to decide. So many options. I'm really, really sorry. What have you done to him? Batman asks. This lumbering shadow staring at Two-Face with pity. Done? Ruth Adams frowns. He's being cured. She goes on to explain that they're trying to tackle Two-Face's obsession with duality. Once he relied on his coin, seeing the world as binary, flipping it for every big decision, but they took that away. Instead, they gave him dice and cards. But, Batman says, right now he can't even make a simple decision like going to the bathroom without consulting his cards. It seems like you've effectively destroyed the man's personality, Doctor. Two-Face pulls the tower card from his deck, an omen of danger ahead. You must admit, Batman says, it's hard to imagine this place being conducive to anyone's mental health, and your techniques don't seem to have had much of an effect on the Joker. Dr. Adams takes a deep draw of her cigarette. The Joker is beyond treatment. In fact, we're not even sure he can properly be defined as insane. She goes on to say that the Arkham staff are beginning to believe that the Joker might harbor some kind of super sanity. A brilliant new modification in human perception. He has no control over sensory information he receives from the outside world, and he can only cope with the chaos he perceives by going with the flow. He recreates himself every day. The Joker interrupts, picking up an ink blot from the table. What do you see, Batman? Batman stares at the ink blot. He sees a bat. Nothing, he hushes. I don't see anything. Stop wasting time. The silhouette of a black mask appears out of the shadows. Take off his mask. I want to see his real face. The Joker snaps back that he shouldn't be so predictable. That is his real face. And besides, he wants to go much deeper than that tonight. I want him to know what it's like to have sticky fingers pick through the dirty corners of his mind. So let's start with some word association, He prods Dr. Adams. She hesitates, but Batman reassures her. Go ahead, Doctor. I'm not afraid. It's just words. That's the spirit, Joker cackles. I like a man who can take the pressure.
I'm sorry, Jim.
Down, down, into the morgue we go, pursuing Harley Quinn to rescue Jim Gordon. There's a secret down here, a twisted shape of human cruelty waiting for the Bat. No, not Bane, we'll get to him in a minute. Someone far more vicious and calculating. Jonathan Crane, aka Scarecrow, brings with him some of Asylum's most memorable beats, injected into the game haphazardly like his fear toxin. Even all these years later, his introduction is chilling. A dead Jim Gordon, the room tilts, cockroaches scuttle across the floor. The Asylum's morgue whispers and laughs at us. Thomas and Martha Wayne spill onto slabs. If this was a horror game, I'd be criticizing the hell out of it. The lack of agency and the perspective shift are an obvious gimmick, but this isn't a horror game. It's not out to truly terrify us, it's just out to unnerve us. More about the character work and less about the gameplay, showing us the dreamlike haze that Batman is lost in as he navigates Arkham's tunnels and cells. Even when Scarecrow and his toxin are off screen, the game wants us to consider how maddening a night in Arkham would truly be. This is where it begins. Asylum's Batman embraces the rigid stoicism of the past, which means he says very little across the game, despite the ability for Kevin Conroy's voice to jump the soul out of Jesus. There are few moments where he shows his fear, his confusion, his sadness, because he's Batman. Rocksteady's Bat is all about the power fantasy. Our hero is down in the dirt, tortured by Scarecrow, but he doesn't blink. He just keeps going. It's the visuals of reliving his parents' murder, of thinking Jim is dead, that offer an insight to how he thinks and what worries him without the game needing to state it openly in the text. Later, we will see how this characterization might backfire, but when it comes to Scarecrow, it works. And once he manages to rescue Jim from Harley, we even get a glimpse at his self-doubt.
You took longer than I thought.
He's out of control. He's trying to prove something. I'm not sure I can stop him this time.
Scarecrow and Joker are the least of our problems though, because one of Arkham's deepest secrets is just around the corner. Bane, strapped up, experimented on. The Bruja, Dr. Young, has slowly been draining the venom from his blood to create Titan. This cues our first boss fight, so as Bane breaks free, let's talk punching. I have a confession to make. I think I kinda suck at Arkham's combat. Going back to the game after 14 years of series iterations and copycats made me realize just how reductive my memory of it was. I thought I was going to breeze through this game, it's just mashing square and occasionally hitting triangle, right? The animation and sound design does all the work. Wrong. In 2016, Asylum's creative director Sefton Hill set up an AMA and talked about the inspiration for the game's combat system. Quote, "Combat initially started out as a rhythm action game. It was based on my love of classic martial arts movies. They have this lovely cadence to the combat which I'd never seen done in a game. Even though we removed the rhythm action requirement, the core of that idea lived on through free flow. Arkham's Combat is a rhythm game for Batman's fists. It might not be a spectacle fighter like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, but there's a similar reward for understanding and using it well. Batman looks cool and we feel cool. The face buttons and a couple of triggers can all be used, but typically the focus is on square and triangle. The goal isn't just to survive an encounter, but to get through it with as much flair as possible, without taking a hit. The design of Free Flow lets Rocksteady achieve something that I would have thought impossible. It lets Batman be a crowd control fighter and a one-to-one brawler simultaneously. The beauty of this system is that none of Batman's moves are designed to take down lots of baddies at once. You're forced to fight independently. But while you might start by throwing a couple of punches at one grunt, if you're aware of your space and angle the left stick appropriately, we can fly around the room, launching bats from henchman to henchman. Don't let weaker iterations of the hit-counter formula taint how you remember Arkham's Combat. It's not just a counter simulator. That's what copycats like Shadow of Mordor and Mad Max failed to understand. There's no punishment in those games from just relying on square and triangle. In Arkham, there is. You lose your momentum, and you miss out on the fun factor. Mashing square and occasionally triangle is a recipe for success. There's nothing wrong with that strategy, it's very accessible, but what it does is give you an inferior Batman to the cool, swishing, catapulting version that skilled players can create. Batman's discipline, his focus on holding back, is a factor during gameplay, and I think that's brilliant. He's always just an inch away from losing control. What makes him interesting is when he doesn't, and to achieve a free flow combo, we need to embrace that. A skilled Batman is deliberate, no slamming your thumb into square or else you'll swing it in empty space and it will kill your momentum and cancel free flow. Instead, you need to remain calm under pressure, calculate where enemies are and tell him which direction to go. Each punch echoes with a brutal, satisfying crack. Different sounds herald different outcomes, like the end of a fight or a mid-battle takedown. But when we talk about the rhythm of Arkham's Combat, we don't just mean the musicality of it, the sound design. We mean the movement, and the framing of that movement too. If Batman just looked like a pinball the entire time, it would become exhausting to keep up with, and he'd lose that sense of deliberateness. So, to make sure we're tuned into the ebb and flow of battle, the game employs animations that have variations in length and occasional slow motion that lets us scan the room for where to go next. What grunt looks ripe for kicking? Counters only finish off an enemy if their invisible health bar is extremely low or if they're the last guy in the room.
Bro.
Otherwise, they do no damage at all. I sat and just countered for about 15 minutes, and despite Bats spraining elbows and slapping Joker's men around, none of them went down, which means you do need to think aggressively. Batman's the Predator after all, he needs to be in control of a fight. At the risk of getting too granular, it's important to note that enemies won't try to hit us if we're in the middle of a counter animation. This means that, just like the moments of slow motion, it's a chance to catch our breath. It means we won't get frustrated if one of these baldy bastards interrupt our cool moves. In another game, I might criticize this for being too easy, too staged, but context is everything. We are the Batman. We're breaking legs and arms. These criminals are scared of us. They sound scared, so you can easily read them as being hesitant. There are moves that can be interrupted. 3 in fact. The ground takedown is long, coming in at about 3 seconds, so there's plenty of time for a grunt to march over and give Bats a shove. This means we're disincentivized from focusing on just one enemy. If we do, we'll likely take a hit when we try to finish them off. Batman's gadgets, the Batarangs and Grapple, also lock us into an animation, and this is a part of combat I like a lot less. Neither of them are that cool or that useful. Batarangs momentarily stun henchmen, but they freeze bats in place, and it's a minimal reward for the risk of getting punched. In fact, gadgets simply aren't an effective part of Batman's arsenal in combat. Not like they will be in future games. But that's not the only problem Asylum's award-winning combat has.
The good doctor won't be a problem much longer. How do you like my puppet? What say we cut him down?
We release Bane from captivity. He's able to access his venom again. His muscles bulge and creak under their own weight, and he tosses Batman into the next room. As a boss, Bane is serviceable. We can only do minimal damage, so the goal is to wait for him to charge, toss a Batarang, and leap out of the way. On his own, he's fine, but Asylum commits my biggest boss fight sin again and again, tossing cannon fodder at us to make up for lackluster bosses. We approach this fight the same way we'll approach the Titans for the rest of the game, so with that in mind, let's talk enemy variety. Titans are introduced more commonly the further into the Asylum we descend, often surrounded by thugs. Unfortunately, these big boys don't work with a crowd because you can't counter them, which means their greatest crime is they break up free flow. You're busy leaping about enemies and then a big random swipe will happen that you have no way to prevent, so you spend a lot of time keeping away from them, rather than leaping into the thick of it. Riding them around the arena as they laboriously flail, weeding out regular goons, is fun the first time, but dull the sixth. It's slower, with less animation variety and less sense of skill and momentum, so using these guys flies in the face of everything that makes fighting so fun. Aside from the Titans, we've got regular grunts, knife guys, stun baton guys, gun guys, snipers, lunatics, and Ivy's plants. 8 enemy types all in. Pretty good, how's that for variety? But they're not all winners, so let's count them down. Regular thugs are bare-knuckle brawlers. They're gifts from the game to help us find out what kind of Batman we want to be. A skilled flash in the dark, or a careful defensive counter machine. Knife-wielding enemies need to be stunned before they take their licks. They can't be countered and whip up a frenzy, dealing decent damage, so they always need to be a priority. Well, not always, not if we face the goons with stun batons. They don't just block damage, hitting them without stunning them first can hurt us. They're not just an enemy to fight, they are a hazard during free flow. Making them vulnerable means we need to stun them and flip over them first. I friggin' love these guys and hate these guys. If a grunt gets a hold of a gun, the stakes reach an all-time high. Facing them head on is a suicide mission, especially when playing on hard, so typically Asylum litters stealth arenas with them instead. But sometimes weapons lockers will be strewn around combat rooms. They add to our spatial awareness. We need to constantly monitor those lockers and the henchmen near them while still keeping an eye on every other enemy in the room. The only problem with them is they're not used enough during encounters. Lunatics are a pain in the ass. They leap on our back for a long time, forcing us to mash X to throw them off, and they won't be knocked out unless you go in for a takedown. What's surprising is the story never tosses them in alongside Blackgate prisoners. Instead, that scenario is tossed into the challenge maps. As much as they get on my nerves, they're relegated to the penitentiary and roaming the grounds. By the last couple of hours, they're part of the furniture. Calling Ivy's plants an enemy type is generous, I will admit. They're dotted around outside, spewing slow, floating orbs of stuff that hones in on Batman while we race to the next part of the Asylum. They go down with just one hit and have a long wind up before attacking, so getting rid of them is pretty easy. Snipers also just live in Asylum's grounds, coming out at particular scripted moments and hunkering down in watchtowers. They are deadly, but less combat and more stealth and maneuverability. Part of the world to get around rather than foes you must take down, which adds some much needed variety to the telegraphed arenas elsewhere.
Jim, get back to the mainland. It's too dangerous here. I don't like leaving you here.
Radio claims he's planted bombs all over Gotham. Gotham will panic. You're needed there.
We're ready to go now, sir.
With Bane defeated and possibly drowning, I know Batman doesn't kill, but feel like we should check on him. No. Batman and Gordon learned that Joker's planted bombs all over Gotham, ready to go off if the cops stick their meddling noses into his party. Again, all of this adds to just how prepared Joker was for tonight. We'll later learn that the bombs are a mere distraction, nothing there to really hurt people, but if anything, that adds to just how calculated Arkham's Joker is. He went out of his way to plant fake bombs for the GCPD to find while plotting the Asylum takeover, and he still had time for a chuckle. Gordon sets off to the mainland to search for them, and Batman realizes that he needs to upgrade his tools if he's going to confront Joker. So, what better time to explore the game's Metroidvania mechanics? 1910. Arkham moves his family back to Gotham. He thinks of Michael and the Angels, their battles against the old dragon Lucifer. He plans to bring light to the old corridors of his childhood, to fill the mansion with patience. He plans to prove that reason will triumph over the irrational. His daughter Harriet is plagued by nightmares. He blames the Lewis Carroll that she's been reading. He hopes things will settle once the refurbishment is complete. As he stands in her bedroom, he looks down. A playing card. The Joker. Back in present day, Batman sits opposite Ruth Adams. The Joker gleefully dances around them as she prepares to throw words at him. Mother, she says. Pearl. Handle. Revolver. Gun. Father. Images flash in Batman's mind with each syllable. That tortured night.
He just changed his clothes for like no reason. I didn't get that third extreme evasion, really? That's kind of annoying.
Now is the time to take your place among the worthy. Forge bonds, gather allies.
All right, guys, let's go. Let's continue the Dragon Fist series of showcases, which we dubbed the World Tour. Super easy, Dragon Fist. Let's go. Now we're gonna go into the Red Zone Fusion Zamasu stage. I do think that this is still a nice stage. Oh, nice turn one. I do think that this is a nice stage for showcasing characters. We are gonna have to utilize Beast Gohan in slot 1 here, huh? Yeah, without a doubt, we are gonna have to. We could do Dragon Fist in slot 1. Now, Dragon Fist, but he's going to link up a little bit better right here. Yeah, we're going to have everything up except for Limit Break and Form. Pretty good. Here's the thing about Dragon Fist. We have gotten